So let's look at how you can actually use centering in your daily life. So centering is something you'll learn formally on the webinars on EFC, and we'll practice it on the modules, of course. You can practice it at the beginning of your peer groups. In fact, we recommend that a different person each week on your peer group leads a centering exercise, the ABC. You can have some notes at first, it's a nice, safe, easy way to learn it before you work with clients later on. It will be one of the main things you work with clients. A lot of people incorporate it into their demonstrations at the end of their exams at the end as well. Definitely one of the most useful things. Embodiment teachers teach this all the time as like practical top win. I do it in corporates all the time. But if you can actually get it used to doing it in your own life, when you then come to teach other people, you have a lot of integrity, you've had a lot of practice. It will just seem very natural and very normal if you're used to doing it daily. And also this can just improve your life as one of those kind of powerful embodiment tool, quick win things you can do. Okay, so let's look more generally about like state change in your life. There's lots of ways you can state change, right? So you can get a massage, you can do a bunch of yoga, you could take drugs. There's lots of ways to do it, but all those things rely on a very particular external stimulus that you may not have access to. I can't always get a coffee, for example, or I can't always go do a yoga class for an hour. It's the beauty of centering is it's something you always have access to. It's quick, and sometimes you can even do it without anyone else noticing. If as you get better at centering, it gets more subtle. You can do it in a meeting or while your partner's having a go at you or while your kids are screaming, and it's not weird. So that's the beauty of centering as a form of state change. The other form of state change you can use a lot is walking. So you'll see us do this on modules. We'll walk around and I'll get, it's almost like a joke on EFC. I get everyone walking around and then I'll say walk differently. So without walking in a silly way, it's just like walk in a slightly different way to shift your state. Again, this is very practical because often in life we have these little walks between, even if it's just like down the corridor between two meetings or to pick up the kids or whatever. So walking as a form of state changing, that would be the very broadest definition of centering as any kind of state change, but a more narrow definition would be regulating the fight-flight response, or slightly broader, also the grasping response. So when in your life can you do that? You're asked to practice after those 5 a day mindful check-ins when the alarm goes off and you check in with your body, and then afterwards, after you've checked in, really felt yourself, 30 seconds doing a quick centering technique. Again, you can easily get that down to 30 seconds. So you're looking at 1 minute total 5 times a day. Yeah. Also linking it to things. So you can link it to neutral things that you do regularly, just as a way of practicing it a lot. That could be walking through a particular door. Some people like to do it before they leave the house or when they come back in from work, for example, both pretty useful. Or when you have a moment, like when your computer's firing up in the morning, that can take, a minute or two to get going. That's a good chance to center. Or before you check your emails, now we're getting into the territory of what may be triggering. Yeah, some people link it to, say, sports they do, like every time they do a tennis serve, they do a mini centering, or at the beginning of every game or the beginning of every set, they do a bigger centering. Some people do it every time they go to the toilet. That's quite a nice one in a way, I find, as a guy, and I'm standing up and going to the toilet. There's a sort of relaxing down sensation that happens. Or when they wash their hands, putting water on your face, for example, that can have a soothing quality which can aid centering. So these are sort of practices, but either a practice is linked to things or practicing just in daily life, so you're practicing centering a little bit more. I really recommend even just a micro centering. Like Wendy Palmer has one where she goes, soft front, extended back. She calls it a lizard push-up, where you extend through the extremities, soften the front. And it can literally be 3 seconds as a mini centering. So you can do that a lot of times a day. You will forget, however, because you'll get busy. So this is where you need the reminder system like the alarms, or linking it to something where you can make it a habit, where you can make it consistent. So have a think now, like pause the video, have a think. Where in your life do you have those moments where you can put it into something you're already doing? It can be where there's no challenge, like walking out the door, where there's a potential challenge, like when I turn my email on, I'm already starting to get a bit stressed maybe, or where there's already a challenge, like the cold showers is the classic one we recommend for people because you can calibrate the cold shower much easier, and you can ask a child to be less annoying or more annoying, or your partner to be less or more triggering. A little bit tricky to do that. The shower is much more controllable, so you can find that sweet spot. With centering, and you'll experience this on modules with tissue throwing and grabs, we're looking for that sweet spot. So this is where, there's life, and now we're getting really into application. It's not really practice. So that distinction, practice, it's controllable, it's deliberate, it's focused. Application, what matters is the life, the consequence, the relationship, the activity, and centering is there just to help you. So you're serving the activity, not serving the practice. Does that make sense? So practice, serving the practice. We're getting better at something. Application, we're trying to make life better, and we're serving life, we're serving our relationship, our job, our sports, whatever, and the centering is just helping us. Don't just try and do application. You want to do practice to get better, to get skilled. It's not fair on other people to be putting your practice in your actual life, and it's not fair on you actually as well. So applications is the other thing I'd like you to think about. In your morning reflection, again, pause the video, maybe write a few notes. Where can you apply the centering in your life? What are the stress points? If I think about my average day in Brighton, stress points, buying train tickets, the station in Brighton is often very busy, so that's a sort of mild stress point. There's particular kinds of emails that I deal with most days that are a stress point that I might want to center. Oh, social media, there's a great one. There's often some sort of argument on social media that can be a stress point. My relationship currently isn't a stress point, though I know for some of you it could be. Some of you with kids, you're very likely to have stress points like getting the kids out of the house, or for my sister, it's putting my niece to bed. That's a consistent stress point. The great thing about consistent stress points is it's coming. Stress points that come out of the blue, let's say I'm walking down the street and some guy just suddenly attacks me, shouts at me or whatever, that's not consistent. It's hard to be ready for it. So unless you're good, you're not going to remember to apply. You won't have had enough practice to apply. Now, years of experience, I can do that now, and I consistently do. However, when I was first learning centering, I just forget. Yeah, the trick with those is how soon afterwards you can remember. So before is ideal for centering, like I'm about to try and get my niece to bed. That's always hard work. She doesn't like going to bed. I know this is going to be stressful. I'm going to center now. Or in the moment is next best, when something's a surprise and you couldn't have seen it coming. You didn't know you were doing a business presentation or whatever. Didn't know you had a first date and you'd be nervous. It's something as a surprise that just happens. Email out the blue. If you can do it in the moment, great. If you can't, don't beat yourself up. It just means you need to practice for longer, make it more of a habit. Eventually what will happen is the distress response itself will become a signal to center. So now when I feel my jaw tense and my eyes tense, that's a reminder to center. That's eventually where you're heading. Afterwards, however, is also better than not at all. Why? Because it means you stop stressing yourself out. So like, for example, let's say you have a conflict on social media. You go like an hour later, they're an idiot, blah, blah, blah. It's going around your head, your body's tense. Hang on a minute. It's no longer happening. I'm just making myself stressed. Center yourself, come back to the present moment, regulate your breathing. Okay, so I hope that gives you some application. In your small groups, you can discuss more. I know I'm missing some good ones because it's almost like centering can improve anything. It can make enjoyable things more enjoyable as well. Oh, I should speak a little bit about that. So pleasure centering, the opportunities I think around pleasure centering, letting go of clinging around pleasure, food, washing is often pleasurable for people, sexual activity. There's opportunities around practice, around all those kind of places where you're getting that pleasure. Yoga, when you're in a yoga class and you're really enjoying a pose and then the teacher changes to another pose and you're like, oh, well, I like that one. Yeah, you get to practice a mini loss. And on the workshops you'll practice, that we'll do the intensives, when you're speaking to a partner, often we do quite brief debriefs, and there's this opportunity to practice whenever the time is over. You'll see people always like, oh, one more minute. It's like, no, let go. Yeah, we'll give you 1 more minute sometimes, but the practice there is letting go. So I'll say that up front. Okay, so I hope that gives you a few Ideas, the main thing with centering is to make it your own. Once you see how useful centering is, you'll do it a lot, you'll get good at it, it will become natural, and then teaching it to other people later in the course becomes easy.